This is an acacia sapling planted in the Sahel region of Burkina Faso. Given the right conditions, this little leafy plant will transform over many years into a wide branch, shade-giving tree. And right now, acacia trees, along with a variety of herbs and grasses, are sprouting up in pockets of land across the Sahel region, helping to combat the ever-growing threat of desertification caused by climate change. But these little saplings didn't magically sprout out of the ground. They're the product of a string of connections that lead back to a search engine called Ecosia. Yes, a search engine is in part responsible for a tree planting project in Burkina Faso. In fact, Ecosia now claims that they've helped plant over 52 million trees. But to me, it seems almost too good to be true that every time I search for something on the web, someone halfway across the world plants a tree. So it's time to get to the bottom of this with a simple question. Is Ecosia legitimate? Or more specifically, does Ecosia actually use their profits to plant trees? And is it environmentally and ethically better to use Ecosia over other search tools like Google? Ecosia is the brainchild of German entrepreneur Christian Kroll. And essentially, it transforms revenue from ads that pop up in your search results into planted trees. If you're curious how the search engine actually works, I'd highly recommend watching my friend Levi's video on Ecosia. In it, he lays out the details of his experience with Ecosia and why people are so attracted to the idea of planting trees. In order to figure out whether Ecosia is legit, we need to understand if and how searching for things on the internet leads to tree planting. So let's follow the money. Ecosia generates revenue by selling ad space in their search engine. They then turn around and use that to support what they call local partners or nonprofit organizations that are doing tree planting projects primarily in the global south. So, for example, a company might pay to push their link to the top of Ecosia's search results. This money then gets transferred into Ecosia's coffers and, according to their financial reports, is used to cover four main expenses: operating costs, marketing, reinvestment, and tree planting. In total, Ecosia donates roughly 47% of their total revenue every month to tree planting projects, or 80% of its profits if you take operating costs out of the picture. Of course, these financial reports are self-published and might not be trustworthy. But Ecosia has been certified as a B Corporation since 2014, which means that it's been verified by the third-party B Corp standard that assesses how much of a positive impact companies have on their workers, customers, community, and environment. So overall, I think it's safe to assume that Ecosia's financial reports are correct. When it comes to actually giving money to tree planting operations, Ecosia doesn't directly allocate money to local people planting trees all around the world. Instead, they work with companies like WeForest in Burkina Faso or Brazil-based Copaiba. Currently, Ecosia finances 21 different tree planting operations in biodiversity hotspots, which, according to Ecosia, are zones that face extreme threats, hold at least 1,500 species of endemic plants, and have been diminished by at least 70%. This means that planting vegetation in these places would have high impact results. So when an organization like WeForest receives money from Ecosia, they work with surrounding towns to create tree planting plans that are location specific. In Burkina Faso, that takes the form of planting native acacia trees to combat desertification caused by drought. While in Madagascar, the Ecosia-backed Eden Reforestation Project hires and trains people from local towns to help replenish mangrove forest estuaries in the northwest of the country. All this goes to show that, yes, Ecosia is actually planting trees. But the key thing here is that it's not as simple as a click from your computer translating to a sapling in the ground. There's a chain of organizations, people, money, and hard work that help make your search on Ecosia transform into a planted tree. But even if Ecosia is actually converting revenue into trees, does that mean you should use it over a search engine like Google? In my opinion, Yes. If you're an average web searcher like me, then most of the time Ecosia feels the same as Google. And when it comes down to it, you're going to have to use a search engine. So why not use one that seeks to plant trees instead of one that owns half the internet? That being said, there is one problem. Ecosia's search results and ads are powered by Microsoft's Bing search engine. So even though Ecosia might be a well-meaning company, you're still using a souped-up Microsoft product when you use Ecosia. Considering the fact that Google uses 100% renewable energy to power their data centers, while Microsoft Bing only draws 44% of its energy from renewables, Ecosia seems a bit less environmentally friendly. But Microsoft has committed to a 75% reduction in carbon emissions across its whole operation by 2030. And Ecosia's tree planting projects are essentially carbon negative, because as the 52 million trees they've already planted mature, the trees will suck in roughly 2.5 million metric tons of carbon dioxide in their lifetime. According to Ecosia, every search you make with them takes 1 kilogram of carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. So as Bing switches to a greener grid and Ecosia grows in size, the search engine's carbon footprint will only shrink. Ultimately, when I started researching this video, I was skeptical of search engines like Ecosia. They always seem to be a little too good to be true. But after looking behind the scenes of their operation, I could find few reasons not to make the switch from Google to Ecosia. When it comes down to it, the team behind this ecologically minded search engine seems to be doing good environmental work and are also transparent about their finances and tree planting projects. Plus, the switch isn't that hard. And the way I see it is that Ecosia is an easy way to bring a little bit of green back into this world. Hey everyone, Charlie here. If you want to support this channel, head on over to Patreon where you can get access to even more content like secret video essays or a resource guide written by yours truly. Your backing helps me stay independent, keep the lights on at home, and spread this channel's message to new viewers. Thanks so much for your support, and I'll see you next time.